So the view in Washington still is that China is dominated by state-owned companies. This congressional committee, this Economic and Security Review Commission, arguing a couple of years ago that the state picks the winners and creates so-called national champions. So I'm going to look at this from several perspectives. I'm going to start with output. Here's the red line that is showing you the share of output by value that is coming out of state enterprises, and you can see it's gone from about 80% when reform began down to about 25% for the most recent year for which the data have been released. And if you just look at manufacturing, which is the most liberalized sector, obviously the government is still restricting entry into utilities. There are some very substantial restrictions on entry into mining, which includes oil and gas, upstream oil and gas. But manufacturing is pretty liberalized, and there the role of the state has really diminished fairly dramatically. These state-owned companies are only producing about a fifth of the output of the manufacturing sector, which still accounts for more than 30%. The manufacturing sector still accounts for more than 30% of GDP. If we disaggregate into the 40 sectors that the Statistical Bureau gives us information on, you can see that the state remains very dominant in the utilities, electric power, upstream oil and gas, and water supply, and so forth. But it falls off fairly rapidly, even in some sectors where you might suspect the state has a very substantial role, like steel, for example. The role of the state is now just a little bit over a third in terms of production. The bottom line is showing us that there are 24 more sectors that if I put them all on the diagram, you wouldn't be able to read it, but there are 24 sectors where the state share is less than 15%. The average is 6.5%. These are things like apparel, furniture, and so forth, where state companies are producing less than 2% of the output. So in terms of output, I think the state has been being displaced. It's really not privatization of state companies. It's just that private companies are more efficient, they grow more rapidly, and so the footprint, if you will, of the state companies diminishes over time.